So this past week, we did have that large Nintendo Direct that, as I look through more and more, it was pretty good. I mean, we had a brand new Mario Strikers, which is out in like 4 months. We had Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to close things out. And then all of a sudden, Square remembers that they had some pretty good JRPGs from the 90s that have been stuck in Japan ever since. But the more I look through this Direct, specifically at one big announcement, I kind of realize, wow, Nintendo's direction is changing along with basically all of the gaming industry, and I wanted to go over that here today. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So while there were some pretty big surprises in this Direct, like, who would have thought we'd be in 2022 talking about Live Alive getting an HD 2D remake and even getting a physical copy that we can pick up? I mean, it's exciting stuff because now it's like, wow, what's next for this HD 2D art style? But the big one, universally, I think that surprised everyone, is that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is getting downloadable content. It's quite a bit, and it's going to last a while, too. That was the other big takeaway. It's called the Booster Course Pass. It's going to have 6 different waves of 8 courses, so 48 courses overall. There's been some talk and controversy around the visuals in this, as they may be lower than what's in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe now, but I'm more or less looking at this from a content standpoint when it comes to the roadmap and how many courses they're doing along with the period of time till the end of 2023, which I think most of us looked at this logically and said, well, the next Mario Kart isn't going to come out before the end of this DLC. In fact, there may be like a year buffer as Nintendo continues to try to sell the Booster Course Pass and their subscription service that this is directly tied into. If you have the expansion pack right now with the 64 games and all of this, Nintendo Switch Online, you'll just have this added in, which is similar to what happened with Animal Crossing. It was a good deal if you're an Animal Crossing fan because you're like, well, I'll just sign up for that and I'll get all these 64 games too. And in this case, if you already have that expansion pack, this is just a nice thing to get thrown in there. And you're like, wow, I'll have 48 different tracks thrown into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that I really enjoy as it is. And they're tracks that maybe I played from things like Double Dash. Oh, and speaking of which, as we're looking back at some of the older Mario Karts, Nintendo put up a slide. I want you to take a look at it here, and people started to notice this more and more. I saw a lot of posts on Twitter come to a bit of a revelation here, and I think there was like just arguing back and forth either way if this was correct. Specifically, one Mario Kart game, and if it was actually part of the series or not. And I mean, you could see some of the games here: Super Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario Kart Double Dash, 64, DS, Wii, 7, all games that we all just say, hey, yeah, that's part of this series that's been running since that Super Nintendo. They're not all numbered or anything until we got to like Mario Kart 7, but we can pick them out and say, okay, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of that. But then look on the right side, Mario Kart Tour. That is the mobile Mario Kart game, and it's been getting more and more updates as it's gone along, but that appears to kind of be put in here like it is indeed part of the series, which came after 8, and a lot of people are now saying, hey, that's Mario Kart 9. The next Mario Kart we would get would be 10, technically, if we lined it up as Nintendo is here. And I gotta say, looking at that slide, I kind of agree with them. Mario Kart Tour, yes, is Mario Kart 9 at this point, which means whenever we get that next Mario Kart, I don't know if Nintendo is going to go with 10 or if they're just going to kind of drop the numbered system. And I'm going to get to that here in a second, but I did pose a question on Twitter, and some people, I ruffled some feathers, I guess, because I used the phrase games as a service, but I looked at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and I said, okay, we've had multiple iterations of this game. Remember, it came out on the Wii U, and they bundled the content from there together, put it on the Switch as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and now we're looking at a roadmap, and this is after smaller updates they did. Remember, Mario Kart 8 got like an update to work with the Labo and the steering wheel, all that stuff, right? Here we now have a roadmap, and it's tied into the subscription service. Technically, you don't have to buy the DLC. You can, but if I have the subscription, I mean, it's part of a recurring revenue stream that Nintendo has continued to build. I don't necessarily think that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is like tried and true, this is absolutely games as a service, but I think it's starting to border on that line. But would you consider Mario Kart Tour a games as a service? Because I think everyone would look at that and say, yeah, it's free to play. They have microtransactions. They've been updating it, and it is a consistent source of revenue for Nintendo as they've gone along. So we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe getting closer and closer to that to that games as a service setup. And technically, yeah, you buy the DLC, you just have it, but it's not all released at once. It's over the course of 6 waves, almost to try to keep you engaged in the game. And as I've said many times, the currency is becoming less and less about just pure money and more about engagement overall, keeping you in an ecosystem and on a certain platform, which Nintendo now has to build on with that Nintendo Online account, something they continue to cite in their investors briefings that they have. All those slides, they talk a lot about that Nintendo Online account system that is most likely going to be carrying over, and the fact that the DLC just drops into their subscription service that's $50 a year. Nintendo seems all in with recurring revenue through subscriptions, which makes me wonder about this next Mario Kart game, because I've been thinking, what would they do to change up the Mario Kart formula? You make it a live service, and I know there are people probably are just like pounding their desks right now, falling over in the chair. We can't do that. It can't be a live service. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be a live service, but I wouldn't be shocked if this was a game that Nintendo looked at and said, let's see if we can do something different here, and not necessarily lean all the way into it, but brush up against it like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is doing. Now, I'm not saying they'd make it just like Mario Kart Tour, where it's free to play and there's microtransactions and all of this stuff, but maybe a game you buy outright, and then there are other ways of getting recurring revenue through that. Maybe they do tie it into that subscription service more. Maybe it's just an ever-evolving Mario Kart game that's just never completely finished. Because remember, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is now a 10-year project. It came out in 2014. Most likely, it's still going to be the relevant Mario Kart game on the Switch in 2024. A 10-year plan, which is what I remember is what Bungie was trying to do with Destiny back when they first made that with Activision. So it's interesting, because I feel like if I went back in time and you were buying Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at the register and I said, hey, this is going to be it for the Switch, there's not going to be another Mario Kart game. Or I go back to the Wii U, you're picking it up in 2014, and I go, it's a game that's going to be around for the next 10 years. You would not believe me. So I feel like there's got to be a reason that there hasn't been another Mario Kart game, and yeah, some of that probably is just the overall sales of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but if that's the case, why stop there? Why not just bundle this DLC together and port it to the next Switch? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus, or new Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus, something like that. He just keeps selling. Why ever make another Mario Kart game then? And maybe that's the way Nintendo's looking at it for the next one. Maybe build it from the beginning so it's an ever-evolving world that you will just sell indefinitely. I don't know, just some food for thought there. But let's talk about the next Switch, because this is something else that's now come up. This is something that's going to last until 2024. We believe that if Nintendo is going to be pursuing the next Switch, it would probably be around that time. But what if this is more of an something that's not necessarily running along the traditional path of generations, and they just keep the Switch branding and release different models, much like Apple does with their iPad and so on there. I mean, if you think about it, some people are just fine with the way Switch games look now, and others are like, hey, I'd like a bit more from this device, and I'm willing to spend more. Maybe Nintendo says, all right, we'll create the new Nintendo Switch, or the Switch Plus, or Super Switch, and it's going to play all the same games, and if you want it, it's there for like $400, maybe more than that, who knows, and then eventually they phase out the old Switch, this one stays in place, then they do it again, and we don't necessarily break away from the old Switch as a traditional generation. I actually think that's a good way for Nintendo to go because of the strength of the Switch brand itself. I mean, we've already had a Switch Lite, which is a handheld-only Switch, so kind of just like their handheld now versus their home console being the Switch Hybrid. So they could continue running along with this. We had the OLED Switch. Who knows? Maybe we do get that new Nintendo Switch and that lasts another 3 years. And we get another one that lasts 3 years. And this entire Switch generation ends up being like a 15-year thing. Also, one nice thing I've noticed that Nintendo's been doing more and more of recently is Their games are just coming with online multiplayer. Earlier on in like the Switch's life, and I guess towards the end of the Wii U, it was more of a question whenever a multiplayer game would be shown if there was online multiplayer. And after seeing something like Mario Strikers get revealed, and I didn't really have that thought, they showed us the online like options and multiplayer, and I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's about right. Didn't have that like immediate like whiplash of like, whoa, Nintendo multiplayer. So on that end, they're actually getting things together pretty well. To me, though, it does look like Nintendo is changing a bit with the times when it comes to subscription services. And I know people just really don't like the idea of games as a service, live services, subscriptions being tied into ownership. And trust me, I understand all of that. But that does appear to be the way that gaming is just trending right now. We see it in the digital versus physical split that continues to really grow more and more in favor of digital, saying people are just not as interested in having physical goods when it comes to games anymore. And we see these different live services like Destiny 2 rack up 1 million players in a single day. There's a lot of revenue to be made. And if there's one thing that businesses understand, it's revenue and how to try to make more and more of it. So while Nintendo is a weird company, they're still a company, they're still a corporation, and they're still going to look to where they can make money. And a recurring revenue plan like what they have created here with their Nintendo Online, I think is becoming more and more of a focus as they go along. And all I'm going to say is keep an eye on the next Mario Kart whenever that does get revealed, because that'll tell us a lot about Nintendo's direction, as strange as that sounds. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.